indiki çıkış için Shemshat Atayeva'nın taknamda çağırıyor. Shemshat Atayeva Mari'nin Guarmçılık Mektebi'nin uçurumu 2008 yılda Halkara Turkmen Türk Üniversitesi'nin tercümeçilik bölümünü okuyan 2012 yılda olsa master programında kabul edilip şu an University of West Alabama Üniversitesi'nde School Guidance and Counceling bölümünde ustaklığım oraya master'ına geldim.
So I'm an alumnus from Teachers Training School, where my major was Russian language and literature, and of International Chapter University, where I studied translation and interpreting. In 2012, I've been selected as one of the 3 finalists for the Edmund Maskey program, and coordinated by IREX, and now I'm studying over my master's degree at University of West Alabama in Livingston, and I'm studying school guidance and counseling. So the reason why I have chosen to study in this field is the increasing number of problems that children and adolescents face today in the modern world. So drug and alcohol abuse, violence in schools, materialism, educational disparity, just a few of them, not in the certain countries, but all over the world. So in the childhood and teenage years, children especially need help, guidance, and support from adults, both at home and at schools. So school counselors can be great helpers in this area. As I mentioned before, violence in schools is stated to be a big problem, and it can be related to bullying. In most of the cases, when people think, hear, or find out about bullying, the first thing that comes to their mind is the victim. But at the same time, it's important to find out what's made the bully become what he or she is now. So it's important just by helping the bully to be in harmony with himself or herself, to live in harmony with his environment, it's possible to decrease the further violence in schools. So actually, there are, in counseling, there are a lot of theories and a lot of methods that can be used as an application for the problem of bullying and bullying perpetrators. But it can be Gestalt therapy, it can be person-centered counseling, it can be transactional analysis, it can be positive psychology. And my research work is based on the transactional analysis and its application on the certain problem as bullying and helping bullying perpetrators. So who is bullying perpetrator? A bullying perpetrator is a person who intends to make another person feel powerless, worthless, and afraid by emotionally, verbally, and physically abusing them repeatedly. In most of the cases, there is a belief that bullying perpetrators can become bullies because of the low self-esteem. But there are other factors that can play a big role in their in the formation of their personality. So the first one can be home influences. As we know, the child can get his or her first education at home. And if adults at home are poor role models, if they just try to humiliate others, the child will do the same thing with his peers and siblings. So another problem is the need to be dominated. Another factor can be described as the desire to be popular. So some children want popularity, and in order to be recognized, bullying is one of the options to get the attention of others. So another factor is revenge. Some children become bullies because of the revenge. Actually, they have been bullied themselves and they want to get even. So that's why they just try to speak out their feelings by humiliating, by harming others as they were harmed in their time. Other factor is rejection, aggressive kids. So rejection is another factor that makes a child especially aggressive, child bullying. Children who are rejected by their peers, by their parents, by their community, by their environment, resort to bullying. So another one is jealousy. Actually, in most of the cases, playing favoritism at home and at schools with other children, with other siblings, make the kids feel jealous, and it can result in bullying. So another factor is influence from media, movies. In most of the cases, in the modern world, children are the big fans of action films. They have their idols and they try to model on them. So that's why parents, that's why teachers at schools should have just close inspection what the child is interested in. So in most of the cases, being bullied can affect his or her future life. And here are just some factors that can be considered as an effect for the future development. So dropping out of schools. Statistically, it's proven that bullies in most of the cases drop out of schools in early senior years. So another factor is depression and psychological distress, anxiety disorder, substance abuse, future run-ins with the law, and problems with securing and maintaining employment. So as I said, my research work is based on the transactional analysis and its usage on helping bullying perpetrators. So transactional analysis is a model of people's relationship, and it was developed by Dr. Eric Berne in 1960s. So he assumed that people have three parts of ego state: parent, adult, and child. And in most of the cases, people use these ego states and they converse with one another in transactions. So transactional analysis is a way of understanding the different parts within us: child, parent, and adult, and its understanding relationship with others. So Berne believed that all people have positive nature. Also, he believed that all children were born princes and princesses, but their parents and their environment played a lot of just big role, and they turned into frogs. So he believed that people could regain their royal status by keeping these ego states under control. And it can be gained by knowing, by using the transactional analysis theory. According to Byrne, early childhood years are very important to personal development, and in most of the cases during the childhood years, children form their basic life script and the sense of either being okay or not okay. And Byrne assumed that life is easy to live and it's simple to live. However, only people create problems, but at the same time, people have enough potential, enough rationality, enough freedom to solve these problems away. So the primary focus of transactional analysis is to empower people with the ability to achieve psychological well-being. So sometimes it's possible to hear such kind of words as "you're acting like a child," or "you've talked as an adult," or "you are not my parent just to talk to me like that." So actually in these words we can see that people have these ego states within themselves. According to transactional analysis theory, people have internal models, so and they play the roles of parents, adults, and child in relationship with others and in conversation with themselves. So parent ego state is connected with behavior, thoughts, and feelings, and it's obtained from parents or other authoritative people. So adult ego state is the ideal. It is the ideal ego state, and in most of the cases, it's connected with grown-up, rational person who talks reasonably and assertively. So the child ego state is connected with beliefs, thoughts, and feelings from obtained from their childhood. Actually, ego states can be divided. So, as you can see, it can be positive or it can be negative. For example, Byrne assumed that parent ego state can be described as nurturing parent and critical parent. So nurturing parent can be safe, can be calming, can be supportive, and critical parent can be controlling, finger pointing, patronizing. So adult part of us, as I said, is our ideal self, and if we have the model of adult ego state, in most of the case we think reasonably, we think rationally, logically, and the third one is child ego state. So also Byrne just divided it into two parts, as natural child who is curious, playful, creative, and adaptive child who is rebellious, who plays tantrums, who is difficult to understand. Actually, Byrne believed that people need recognition. So to obtain it, they exchange strokes. So it can be also used as a kind of positive reinforcement. A stroke is an act implying recognition of another person's presence. So strokes can be positive strokes and negative strokes. Also strokes can be verbal strokes, as a kind of saying just, hey, you've done a great job, you're so smart. It can be as a kind of gestural strokes, for example, using the thumb up, and it can be physical strokes, for example, patting on the shoulder or embracing. So the pattern of giving and receiving strokes that individual uses is determined by the person's life position. Later, I'm going to talk about it. So Byrne believed that all people, in spite of being successful or unsuccessful, in spite of being happy or unhappy, so people have psychological hunger for motivation and stimulation through human interaction and stroking. So,
what
in his...
What do you mean by stroke?
Stroking.
Stroke or stroke?
You know, stroking, it's another word for motivation or stimulation. So, Byrne believed that people hold 4 life positions. So, on the basis of transactions, people develop life positions which are connected with concepts of self-esteem and the worth of others. So the first life position is, I'm not okay, you're okay life position. In most of the cases, people who hold this kind of life position experience withdrawal, depression, powerlessness, and in most of the cases, people feel themselves inferior and guilty. So the second life position is, I'm not okay, you are not okay life position. So actually, psychologists consider that people who hold this life position are the most dangerous people, because in most of the cases, people haven't had any motivation and any positive strokes from others. And in most of the cases, people feel themselves disappointed, helpless, and in most of the cases, they see no value in themselves and they see no value in others. So, psychologists consider that people who hold this life position have the great tendency to homicide and suicide. So the third life position is, I'm okay, you are not okay life position. In most of the cases, as the people who hold the second life position, people with I'm okay, you are not okay life position even haven't had any kind of positive strokes, but they have survived by stroking themselves. So it's just up to them if the strokes are positive or negative strokes. So they feel angry, punitive, and they have the sense of grandiosity and greatness over other people. And their life slogan can be, whatever happens, it's not my fault, it's the fault of others. So, and the last, fourth life position is, I'm okay, you are okay life position. Actually, people who have this life position are mentally healthy people. So they can solve problems, they can communicate, they can interact with other people in a successful way, and they can have good relationship with other people, and people feel good about themselves and others. So in most of the cases, bullying perpetrators hold these 2 life positions. I'm not okay, you are not okay, and I'm okay, you are not okay. As I mentioned before, people who hold these life positions, they haven't had at their time any positive stroking from other people. That's why they feel themselves just angry about the world, about other people. So, counselors' goals is Actually, the counselor's job here, the counselor's interaction with bullies are very important. So counselor goals here can be balance bullies' ego state. For example, counselor should teach the bully to use adult ego state. As we know, it's the most logical, rational ego state of the person, and it can be used in the times in conflict. Of conflicts, and just in order to keep child and parent ego state under the control. So bullying perpetrators also have the position, as I said, I'm not okay, you are not okay, or I'm okay, you are not okay, like positions. So counselor's goals is to try the bully to get to the I'm okay, you're okay life position. So if the counselor achieves in this, bullying perpetrator attains a kind of harmony with himself, and he regains as a kind of healthy mentality. So another goal is making the child rewrite a loser script to winner script. In most of the cases, bullying perpetrators think that they are stronger than others, and they just feel that they are winners at the same time. But counselors should make the bullying perpetrators believe that in fact they are not winners, in fact they are losers. So it can be made by giving some kind of examples, and counselor can help the bullying perpetrator by finding out his feelings about the certain problems and certain situations. So counselor's techniques can be used with working with bullying perpetrators. So first one is gathering information about the bully. So having information about child's background is very important, as it can give the idea about focus in his or her life and what strokes have been received in his or her life, and in what life position he or she is. So counselor can teach parent, adult, child model to the student. For example, parents tell us what to do. Adults tell us how to solve the problems. Or child tell us what to do for the fun. So another one is teaching how to give and receive strokes. Actually, it's very important for counselor to teach the bullying perpetrator how to give and receive positive stroke. So he should be driven away from negative strokes in order to get positive strokes. So another technique is teaching how to make and keep contracts in their behavior. So it's better if bullying is taught to make and keep daily contracts, to make just changes in his daily behavior. Just it gives some kind of opportunity to keep promises he has made. So in other words, in simple words, it can be explained as a kind of making daily plan to be better. So another technique is teaching how to avoid to use put-down remarks. So counselors should explain the child that the usage of put-down remarks can upset other people, and it can be explained as by asking how bully would feel himself or herself if these remarks were addressed to him. So it's important to make the bully speak out all his feelings, he would have. So bullies should get to the idea that these remarks will upset others and they will have the same feelings. So actually, counselors' first and prime focus is healthy generation can create healthy life. So in conclusion, I just want to read out this paragraph. It's not just the victim of bullying who faces psychological problem. Being a childhood bully can lead to the relationship issue later in life. Punishing bullies does not decrease their bullying behavior. So the best way to stop bullying behavior is by talking with bullies. So talking with bullies can be used with counseling theories as I counted before. So that's it. Thank you so much.
You ask questions?
May I have a question, please? From my standpoint, the bullying is not only the problem of the United States in America, right? Do you have any data that applies how bullying is handled in different countries, for example, in Turkmenistan?
So actually, that's why I'm here, to learn how to handle, how to teach their children to handle with this problem. It's unfortunate to say, but counseling and guidance is not developed in Turkmenistan. And in most of the cases, the relationship between teachers and students cannot be considered as a kind of professional. So that's why I just can say that the level of solving the problem over the bullying in Turkmenistan is very poor. But I hope that in the future we will have just better understandings and counseling area in Turkmenistan will be developed and children will have the support of professionals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for bringing up this topic, because I think in our days it's even more important, and because any of us are prospective or either current parents. So my question will be regarding the culture and psychological disorders in psychological problems in kids, with kids. Do you think that individualistic societies where the competition is excessively stressed has more potential to develop this kind of disorders rather than traditional, family-based societies like our culture, Turkmen culture?
Yes, I think that people from individualistic society are more, have much more tendency to this behavior. Actually, it's proven that in most of the cases, bullies are people not from families with how can I say? So bullies are not from families who have some kind of financial problems or live in poverty. In most of the cases, bullies are from normal families, and they just can express themselves. If they are not successful, for example, in expressing themselves in educational area, they want to express themselves just in other way. So it's the reason why individualistic society has a kind of influence on their child's mind in this area, in this aspect.
I just want to make comments. It's not a question. So, bullying, I think, by living in the United States and working with higher education, I see it depends on the areas where parents live or problem with families. So it's a location, so-called, in the good school districts, there is not bullies. So in the areas where more trouble in terms of everything, then there is a problem at the school. So it looks like there is, it's like ethnicity, location, your education has influence in bullying, I would say. So competition, I don't think have an effect on that because everyone wanted to be
Actually,
successful.
competition, I'm sorry for disrupting you. Actually, competition brings a big stress to the person. So not all people can handle with this problem. And in most of the cases, people who have a kind of low psychological stability, they can have the tendency to speak out of their problems, just speak out their feelings by, being bullies or harming others. But in some of the cases, I agree with you that competition can. I'm not claiming that competition is the main factor in child's life of becoming bullied.
I'm just trying to give you an example
Mhm.
from my experience. I
Yes.
have two grown-up sons, so they went to the good schools, and I was at the UCLA camp, so I had seen people from around the world come for the getting PhDs or some other master degrees. Sometimes you see the difference from the different aspect of these children when they play together. So it has some role, as you said, background, family
Yes.
background, and society from where you come. So, like in Turkmen, probably they will not be, it seems to me much, because more or less, at least at the past, everyone lived in the same level. So probably we don't have much more bullying, but it could be in the future when there will be a difference between the top and the bottom, and then if the middle is shrinking, then it might come up.
Sorry, I just forgot about
I
it.
guess we have a question, that's why I wanted to say.
Last question. Вот, например, вы говорите быдло-быдло. Вот идут двое по дороге. Один быдло, другой нет. Быдло, как бы скажем, он пристает к небыдлу. Как быть другому, который более воспитанный, как ему ответить?
Во многих случаях counselor just advise to have a verbal contact with bullies, and bullying victim should try to explain that they don't like the attitude of bullies. If it's not working, bullying victims should have a conversation with their teachers, with their parents, or with their counselors. So, but they advise not to have a conflict with bullying perpetrators, because in most of the cases it's quite possible to be hurted by bullying perpetrators.
Coming back to the previous question, isn't it that just ignoring would be the most effective way? Instead of just interacting and going into it, just ignoring?
You know, ignoring can have, how can I say? Bullying perpetrator can think that if the bullying victim ignores him, he just displays some kind of disrespect to him. So if he doesn't pay attention to him, bullying perpetrators just has a kind of crave mind, and he can think that this person does not have any respect to him. And in most of the case, it can end just in other, much more
So that would
critical
escalate
conflicts.
problem more?
Yeah.
Çok sağ olun veren durumlamanız için. Elbette okul mekteplerimizde psikolog taydan kömeklerden olsa onu köpüğümüz hafta boyu insanlar ortaya çıkıyor.